Please, I would love to ask you some questions. So,
Okay.
Dr. Laxley, what would you, some of these questions I would actually like to hear your feedback on, like in terms of um, someone who is getting their, have decided what their purpose is and just they don't necessarily have a business or they don't have anything set in place. It's just a matter of this is why I was placed on earth. What advice would you give them?
If they have discovered their purpose, they understand what they're calling, and if it's a calling. However, they're not in a business to monetize it, so to speak.
Yeah.
And for me, your purposeful work, and you said it earlier, you talk about your work with the company that you work with, that you currently work, and you talk about what you do for them. But at the end of that, you said it's not for the company to make money, for the company to help families. That's what I heard you say. And to me, that was significant. So your purpose is not necessarily about making money. It's about building others. You build you, and so you're in a position to build others. And I think that's the most meaningful thing that you can ever do. And you do that because you, at some point, you're going to build a family. You're going to have your children, your grandchildren, and you want to help build a community that they can live in, that they can have a sustainable, productive life. And we don't live in here by ourselves. You know, the saying, it takes a village. So ultimately, a purpose can be very personal and self-serving. However, I think a purpose that will be most impactful is to create a community that come back and serve you. So at some point, you will benefit immensely from fulfilling, and not even fulfilling, but pursuing your purpose. Because it's not always about fulfilling it, it's pursuing it.
Pursuing it.
Mhm.
I like that a lot. And at what age or stage in the game were you when you figured out your purpose?
That's so interesting, right? So what informed my purpose is my upbringing, and more specifically, who my mother was and the role she played in my life. She was that type of a person that was always serving others. I can't recall a time growing up when we didn't have a family member or some stranger living with us.
Yeah.
So my route to understand my purpose was set from back then when I was growing up. And I've gone off the rail a number of times, you know, because I've resisted. I'm one of those that at times and continue to do certain things, because I always ask myself 3 questions. Am I willing? Am I able? And then am I ready? Because when you take on certain kind of work, intentional or not, it requires you to come to work, right? So even though you know it may be your purpose, you find that, boy, I can't manage this, you know. I'm gonna be like water and take the path of least resistance. And we do that. So I started to discover mine at the early age. Didn't always act on it, you know, because sometimes you do what you like to do, but what you like to do may not necessarily be the thing that you need to do. And all of that stuff is real good, purposeful work. But because you can only do so much, if you want to, and you have to now say, what is the opportunity cost of me focusing my energy over here doing a good thing? And with my time, best practice would demand or suggest that I should be over here doing that thing that would be most impactful. And most impactful is what will be the best thing for most people. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
So that's what this thing is about. And what we're doing with this thing, we call a collision with purpose, in the process of writing, right?
Okay.
In fact, I have in August, we'll have a book out. And in many ways, this is a case study, right, we're doing. And we're looking at the lived experiences of individuals like yourself, you know, who will be the population of the study or participants. And we're looking for, it's a thematic case study where we're looking for themes to emerge. And what I'm seeing now, I'm seeing in pursuit of purpose through pain. And you laid it out so in such a classic way, right? You talk about a series of events that were so painful, the passing of your husband, right? And the way it happened. And then the fire destroying all those things all the things that were so important, right? But that's you know, and that, you know, how that affected you. And then we're hearing some folks say things like, it's destiny. I was born for this. And that's theirs, right? And then there are those individuals who are saying, yeah, I have an idea, but I'm not ready. So for them, it becomes so painful because they're fighting it. So pain and resistance, and it's all of the above sometimes. So that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing, right? And then we're going to do a documentary out as well. And I know we're going to do a documentary, but the big thing I believe, I'm going to build when I say it's a collaborative effort, you know, because no one person can do anything. So we're going to create a learning institute from the A Collision with Purpose project, where we will teach on all those things, you know, quiet, stillness, mindfulness, you know, introspection. Why is it important, and how do you go about doing it? Just as you explained, and how you would suggest a person to get in line with self, and you know, so that's the outlook. And this thing is picking up an energy of its own.
Nice.
And so it's carrying. And it just happened out of nowhere, to be honest with you. It's not planned. It just happened one day. One day I was interviewed by someone on their program, leafless, but not lifeless. I was, you know, doing an interview and went to bed, and I woke up the next day and I said, Ken, I want to do something about purpose. Very next day. And the only question, what should we call it? And within a couple of minutes, A Collision with Purpose came up. And within the same day, I was out walking in the park doing short 1-minute videos of talking about what this thing is. I don't know if you've seen any of those videos.
I'm gonna go binge watch right now.
Go on subscribe to the channel, YouTube channel.
Yes.
And so I just started talking about stuff, you know, and the way things work, if it makes sense, it will work, right? With some energy behind it, and you know, but not planned. And this is where it is now. It's morphing into this. I could do interviews all day. I could, and you're evidence of that. You have a lot to say. And you said it you articulated it very well, and it will make a difference.
Yeah.
I
would like to repost too. Is it okay if I set up some of these?
Of course. You know, and you know, there's a saying that you can choose to be a river or a reservoir. Right?
Okay.
You came on here with a river mentality today. You know the difference, right?
I don't. Tell me more. So, I feel like one of them's flowing, and then the other one's kind of like still.
Well, and it's not just flowing, but it's as you flow, you deposit information, and that is the river. So you share along the riverbank. You know, there is all kinds of good stuff coming, right? You deposit your minerals, your food, fish, whatever you bring with you. And then the reservoir is that person or that thing that just hold it as it's mine. I'm not giving it to anyone. So we like to operate, and sometimes you operate in both places, right? But you ought to spend your time as a river, sharing, depositing along your walk, as you journey through this place, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's how you build community. And I always talk about community. So that's one of the things that the ecologian with purpose is all about. It is that river. So we bring people on and we do this, we collaborate. Because if it was for me to talk about my purpose, no one would be interested. Who cares, right? Who cares what I have to say?
I would.
It's when you bring this effort of different individuals, and normally when you hear of situations like these, you hear of individual celebrities talking about their purpose, right? You can't even connect with that. There's no connection. But when you hear Miss Grant or Miss Jane, who's that person who lived next door, come and tell their story, resonate, because you're me. You're your neighbor.
Yeah.
We have that thing in common. We just going about living our lives, and we, so we're touching each other, and that's what it is. And now not just that, I'm doing interviews in different countries. We doing interviews from people all over the place. I had one of my friend, and I say this, and she's from Bulgaria, and she was talking to me from France the other day. She was in France, and she said to me that, I have a nonprofit organization, or I don't have one. I'm a president and CEO of a nonprofit organization. We do a lot of good work in Jamaica, in schools especially. We do, just good stuff. And she said to me, I know you're very keen to do work in Jamaica. And of course I am. That's where I'm from, right? But she said that this ecologian with purpose thing, you need to take it global, because same kind of people that live in America and in Jamaica live over here. And their purpose, and they're not talking about it here.
Okay.
Just to say you need to bring it there. So just looking to spread the word. Wherever it takes us, right? We follow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Much success to you, man. I'm gonna go binge watching now.
and invite, if you know of anyone that would want to come on, invite them.
I do actually. So do I just respond back to the email with their?
Yeah, you can respond to the email, and we have some sort of a social media thing as well. Follow us on there and subscribe.
Yeah.